Happy April 2021. This is going to be your general tarot reading for April 2021. The decks that I'm using this month, I decided to go completely fantastical. And so I'm going to be using the Tarot of Mystical Moments, the Star Spinner Tarot for clarifiers, and the White Rabbit Oracle cards number 1 and number 2, and they're mixed together for clarifiers. So it's completely fantastical. That's going to add a different flavor to this month. This reading may or may not resonate for you because it's geared towards a collective, so it's up to you to decide whether it resonates or not. If it doesn't resonate for you, you may want to check out the readings for your other planetary placements or rising signs, whatnot. See if any of those resonate for you more. I'm going to be doing these in order of the most views that I got for March. And so it's going to be in that order. And feel free to subscribe, share, comment, like, do whatever you want to support my channel if you feel like. I would really appreciate it. If you would like to skip through the shuffling process, there is a timestamp down below in the description box for you that you can click on. It'll take you straight to the beginning of the reading. I'm feeling perfunctory even though I'm late this month, and so I have a feeling these readings are going to be a little bit shorter than usual. I'm hoping that the messages will come out clear for you. Okay, happy April, you guys, and if you happen to be an Aries sun sign, happy birthday, or an early Taurus. Okay, see you in a minute. Bye. Hello Virgo, this is your general tarot reading for April 2021. Normally I would have the footage on here of me shuffling and picking the cards out, but the computer storage settings have been odd, where sometimes I'm able to save up to 3 videos on the computer, and then other times I'll have one thing saved on it and then it literally, the camera will shut itself off because it can't intake any more information. And so basically what I'm saying is that part got cut off, and so I had to delete it. And so hopefully you can just trust me that I picked these cards out appropriately as usual, and this is the beginning of your reading. So this reading is odd because I'm getting a bunch of specifics in here, and so I'm just going to assume that this is for some particular individuals. I'm getting a mixed bag of things in here, and so I'll show you all of your central experience cards, and then I'll just tell you what I see. Of course, as always, this reading may or may not resonate for you. It's interesting because I've noticed there are specific messages that are for different people in readings, and so certain parts of the reading may not resonate at all. Other parts might very well resonate with you strongly. So all right, here are your central. Just so you know, the house is being worked on with power tools. The whole entire outside deck in my building is being redone, and so you may hear some power tools or some construction noises, but there's nothing I can really do about it. So I'm going to show them all to you, and then I'm going to put them back down and just tell you what I see. You, as your central experience for April, you have the 4 of Swords. You have the Knight of Swords. The 4 of Pentacles. Take a really close look at this image here, if you wouldn't mind. And Legacy. And Hope. And so, normally, I mean, other than talking lightly about things like things changing because of COVID, I got some specific messages in here that have to do with the virus stuff that's going around the world. And so, I'm just going to blurt out what I see, and hopefully, this is meant for someone. So, one scenario here is that I'm seeing someone who has an elder in the family who has been severely locked down because of the COVID crisis going on in the world. Perhaps they haven't been able to see family members. They haven't been able to do the things that normally they're able to do. Or there's someone in the family who's getting much older that you want to see and check up on, but you are unable to do so because of situations with COVID. Or it could be that I'm getting it's someone that you know, either a family member, a close friend, someone that you know. Someone that you know may have been so panicked and so worried about the virus that they have put themselves in a long-term, year-long quarantine of their own choice. Like, for instance, I have a neighbor that barely ever leaves her house because she is worried about the virus. She only goes out when it's absolutely necessary or she has other people do things for her. And so even though there may be somebody in here who actually has gotten the virus or who has been sick, but this could also be a situation where the person has been fairly healthy and they have not been affected physically by the virus, but they've been affected mentally where they're afraid. They're panicked, they're afraid, they're worried. I'm seeing hope in this situation because of possibly they're able to get a vaccine or they are waiting to get one. And in the meantime, they're being very hopeful that it will happen soon so they can return to being able to feel safe so that they can continue to do things that they enjoy or see people that they want to see. This can also be another perspective in this is that you have everything is a double-edged sword, right? Any situation has multiple angles of a way of looking at it. And so I am seeing something in here about perhaps a nurse or a caregiver or somebody who looks after people for a living or in the family as a natural family responsibility. I'm seeing something in here where you are meditating on and thinking very strongly about the pros and cons of this whole situation with the virus, where if an older person has been unnecessarily held back or locked down where they are unable to see people, unable to sit in places like parks or things like that. It seems like they're at the end of their life when they seem actually rather healthy. And this is another situation or situations that you have witnessed where the actual people are fairly healthy, but they are forced to not be able to see people or do the things that they are used to. And so you also see a perspective in it of if you were at the last moments of your life, if they pass away before all this stuff is over, just of natural causes rather than a virus, then they have unnecessarily been kept almost in a prison for the last moments of their life when they could have been seeing the people that they want to see or doing the things that they wanted to do, or are dealing with depression because they are unable to do certain things. And so you're trying to figure out what is the best way to handle situations like this, where it's like as somebody's life has ended before their life has ended. You're thinking very strongly about all of these things or meditating on them or pondering them on how things could be adjusted where people are still, where mental health is concerned over all of this stuff. And also I'm seeing something in here about education too, of but it does seem like there's hope in the future with all of this, or you see light at the end of the tunnel with all of this, and you may understand these things in a more complex, multifaceted way where it's hard for you sometimes to express yourself to other people because they are more traditional or they're more hell-bent on maintaining the status quo or not looking too into it in depth. You're also, I'm seeing a social worker in here where you've noticed that the lockdown is causing more domestic violence, possibly with children, if children are having to stay home to go to school over the computer, supposedly, while they have a really difficult domestic situation going on how to address these concerns without being labeled as someone who is not being careful or not being responsible or not understanding the risks involved. You may want to write an article about it or write a small book about it or educate yourself on different perspectives of this and how possibly things could be adjusted or some solutions could be brought to this process. It seems as though there's something going on in here that you're very aware of that most people are deliberately not looking at. Maybe things are too overwhelming for them to look at it right now. But you are looking at it, and there's also, I see a lot of like, not racing thoughts, but just a lot of thoughts that have been plaguing you about all of this, and almost a feeling of being misunderstood or feeling as though you can't talk about certain things because of what other people will say, or there might be some swift messages coming in that let you know that hope is around the corner or something is changing for the better in this situation. I'm seeing something in here about a wealthy older woman that has a lot of collectibles or antiques, or she has all this stuff, but she doesn't have anybody to talk to or to spend time with, or something. But it seems like you're trying to come up with solutions, or you're meditating on it, you're thinking about it, about all these things, and also how it's going to affect future generations that are young right now, on how it's going to affect them on a long-term basis, on what this is doing to them psychologically. Okay. Anything else in here? If I didn't read it, that was the strongest message that came out. But this could be a different thing that is more generalized. Let's say that you have been locked up in the house, or locked up in a way of life that where you have become a slave to your things, or somebody around you has, or a slave to responsibilities, or a overly protective of what you have, or this is someone around you that affects you. Or even a mental process of holding on to certain things that you've been taught that you have outgrown or are no longer conducive to your personal growth or evolvement, and you have become aware of this. You're starting to see things completely differently, and you may even receive some kind of a swift message about something that needs to be addressed immediately. But it looks like you're rolling with it, and you are not processing it, but you're just in a meditative state, allowing these thoughts or feelings to flow through. And you're choosing to focus on hope rather than despair, or rather than feeling like it will always be like this. or someone changes your mind by speaking with you. You have a conversation with someone and they say certain things that trigger you to look at things in a completely different way, and it frees your mind to completely different perspectives on the matter or solutions to any problems you might be facing that you have been bound by. So, your challenge is in patiently, slowly plotting forward in your life with your goals or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest right now. It could be as simple as your challenge is patience this month. Maybe you're feeling impatient, like something needs to be done immediately. And so you are battling with this feeling of frustration because things are moving forward, yes, but they're moving forward a lot slower than you would like them to be. And it might even be, it's bothering you because it might even be where things have slowed down, where something is lost, or something could have been fixed, or could have been adjusted, or could have been solved. But things are, with the movement of things, are going so slowly that certain problems may not be solved in time. Or you're wondering when are things going to start moving forward? To me right now, it doesn't look like this horse is even moving. It just looks like they're standing there. So let me pick a little bit more on that. The Page of Cups. The Page of Cups. It may be that you need to have a conversation with someone, or you need some magical aid. I love this version of the Page of Cups. It's very traditional with the little fish in the teacup. It looks like the woman and the fish are having a conversation, or the fish is telling the woman a story and she's listening to it. You might need to ask the fairy realms or other realms or spiritual realms for some kind of a sign or some kind of a message on how you can move forward with something. You may be given some kind of a message that blows your mind of a solution that you weren't seeing before, that you are able to take newfound inspiration that comes through talking with someone, or talking with spirit, or talking with magic, or something. You know, if you have a question and you go out looking for a sign, you will find signs, especially repeating ones that say the same message, even if it's billboards that say something on it, or you walk by somebody in passing on the sidewalk and they happen to be saying a sentence that triggers you. It's almost like spirit is using ordinary day people or ordinary day situations or things to let you know certain information that you need. So you need to pay attention. This could also be waiting for a possible crush or a light-hearted flirtation to grow into something more, where there's potential in a situation for it to be able to grow into something more long-lasting or deeper or stronger. But it may be that things are not moving as quickly as you would like. You're thinking about what really matters to you, and you may need to play more if things are not moving right now. Rather than trying to get things to move, maybe you should go play and do something fun, or do something that you are interested in, even a hobby, or something that you enjoy doing that can kind of get the magic working again or running again in your life. Or to become re-inspired by some kind of a new process that brings in inspired new energy to a situation. So, what is helping you is strength. You can withstand a lot and manage to survive and thrive multitudes of situations You are an incredibly strong, powerful person, and it seems to me as though you use it for good. You use it to be tender, or you use it to help situations, or to protect the things that society or other people do not protect enough. I'm getting something in here about taming a beast, where you have a strong affinity to be a protective force for people that are misunderstood by others or by society as somehow being monstrous or violent or feral or predators or considered dangerous, that you are not fazed by this. I don't know. A good analogy for something that I'm getting is like going to prisons to befriend prisoners and give them somebody to be able to talk to. Or dealing with helping people that are overcoming anger issues, that have anger issues. Maybe this is anger management classes that you teach, or seeing children that are misbehaving or acting in wild ways, and instead of looking at them as being bad children, you are able to understand what makes them the way that they are and to be able to tame them and open up their heart more, where it's like when you're a child that is told over and over that you're bad. Oftentimes there's this attitude of, okay, well, if I'm bad, then I guess I'm going to be bad then. But all they really need is love or understanding or patience. You have a different, I'm getting, if this is a reading for someone who is actually quite brilliant and understands things in a more complex, holistic way, in the facets of things that normally other people do not see. And so because of this, you are actually able to do something about it, or to be able to help the world in a specific way by understanding things that are normally misunderstood. And so keep up the good work. You can, don't forget that, don't overdo it. Don't overwork yourself or don't expect too much of yourself. Make sure that you expend your energy on the things that you care about, but you also take time to rest. Or this could be taming feral wild animals like stray cats, stray dogs, wounded beasts that people have given up on, they didn't think would ever be able to be domesticated, and you are able to do it. To save animals from being euthanized or not adopted because they have certain behavior problems, but it seems as though they are different with you, or you're able to work with them over time and to re-domesticate them and then be able to find homes for them or keep them. Something like that. This is what's helping you, is everything I just mentioned. Just use it as a metaphor if it's not the specifics that I'm saying, for a storyline to name the energy that I'm getting. So let's see. At your root is the Seven of Swords. Are you keeping something to yourself that you should be talking about? Do you feel as though there's anybody to actually talk to about the things that you are holding in? Are you holding in other people's secrets that they tell you? Are you, just got the words non-disclosure agreement, or, the rules that come along with being in the mental health field, that everything that is told to you, as long as it doesn't involve directly hurting somebody else or themselves, is to be kept to the therapist's, there's a word for it. What is it? It's that everything that is said is not repeated to anybody else, and it's kept between the two people. It may be that you are a secret holder, where you hold other people's secrets for them and you do not repeat them. But something about this feels a little bit much to me, Or this could be someone that you are dealing with where you wish that they would open up, or you're wondering if an energy is to be trusted or not, or other people, because you are very private and there are certain things that you may not feel comfortable talking about. You might even be underneath the suspicious eye of others because you don't speak about certain things. People don't know where you're at with it. And so sometimes people's imaginations can get wild with what they think you're up to or what's actually on your mind. It's like a mistrustful energy here. Let me see if I can get any more on it. You might just be feeling extremely protective of yourself, of somebody else, of not wanting anyone to hurt anybody. I don't know. Let's see. Tell me more about the Seven of Swords, please. You're worried someone will steal your stuff or steal something that you have. Is somebody watching holding on to some kind of an object that other people can't know about? And you need to keep it safe so that it won't be tampered with, or you're holding it onto it for somebody else, or you want to hold on to things that you have from the past, or you need to make sure that the legacy of some kind of physical thing is still honored in the future, and you feel very protective and almost overly guarded about it. You're afraid something is going to get messed with or changed so completely that things will never be the same. But I'm getting something about something historical here, like a historical object or a historical house, or let me show you what I'm looking at here. You have the Seven of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles. It's like you want to preserve something, and you don't want it to be wrecked or destroyed or devalued or locked away somewhere in the bottom basement of some museum that never sees the light of day anymore. It's like you feel very strongly about protecting something that is historical or has been around for a long time. Could be anything, could be a house, could be an object you have, could be something in your environment that you have always loved. This is reminding me of, I grew up in the Boston area, and in Cambridge, in Harvard Square, there used to be a cafe that was left over from the 1800s called the Tasty, which was a 24-hour diner. And it had been around for over 100 years, and I think it was back in 97 it closed down and got turned into like a corporate mainstream multi-branch bagel shop, and it was like a piece of history was lost for forever. It's something like that. You feel very strongly about speaking up against it being taken over or ruined or taken out or destroyed or hidden away. Or preserving something, or even keeping something. Like in New England, there's lots of older structures than in some other places of the country, in the US anyway, and which really compared to Europe is not very old at all, but there's something to be said about older buildings. There was a movie theater where I grew up that was very, very old and had lots of carved cupids, carved people, intricate woodwork. Or even if you consider old buildings that have things like gargoyles or angels or detail work, or even old houses that have gingerbread on them, even if something is going to be, I remember when the movie theater got finally shut down after being there for a long time and it was filled with antiques. They weren't able to salvage the business and they ended up taking out all of the stuff. But there were people that did an auction that were able to at least take apart the details and to buy them and keep the artifacts still, even though they're not attached to the building anymore. Something like that. Or you want to preserve something from the past. Interesting. Okay. In the recent past, you have had some kind of a brilliant idea, or you're understanding things in a new way. Notice she's holding a key, and there is a keyhole in her head to her mind. You may have unlocked something about your own mind, where perhaps your mind was in a loop before, where it kept on being having repetitive cycles with your mind, but now you have been able to unlock something in your own mind where instead of loops, it's going in spirals, which is moving forward. Or you're understanding things in deeper ways than before. You have had some kind of a brilliant idea or a way of understanding things that you could share with others and with the world. It may be that the only warning in here that I'm really seeing is be careful about holding things to yourself. Instead of fearing that it's going to be taken away, so you need to keep it safe, maybe it's something you need to share with the world instead. Instead of locking away something historical, maybe you should put it on display so it educates people about the past. You're understanding something in a new way that is very profound, I'm getting. Or you're able to solve some kind of a mystery or uncover information from the past that was not uncovered before, that fills in the blanks or fills in the empty spots in certain stories or memories or understandings of something, or even coming out with the truth of, it's like you have some kind of truth you're hanging on to, maybe out of the fear that others will not understand if you do say something. But I'm getting the direct message that you are supposed to be sharing this information instead of holding it to yourself. But you have to be you might want to just write it, like write a book or write an article rather than, or write a speech or do a small documentary or something interesting. Okay, your best possible outcome is the Queen of Swords. So yes, you're seeing things more objectively. You're seeing things from a greater standpoint or a greater vantage point. You have a bird's eye view of something where you can also at the same time look at it up close. You're looking at it from far away and up close. It may be that you have something that you are working on or something that you are in the process of, and it has slowed down or is at a standstill. If you notice, she's on top of a hot air balloon which has become stuck in a tree, and so her hot air balloon is actually not going anywhere right now. She's possibly looking into solutions, tools, anything available to her in the nearby vicinity that would be able to help her out of this situation. She hasn't resigned herself. She's not hopeless. She has a mind of an inventive mind that looks at how can things be solved? How can things be rearranged? What is actually available to me? And strategizing on how to move forward. Or this might just be a much needed break in order to really look at something, instead of busying yourself so much that you don't have time to really look at things. That's your best possible outcome, is to go with logic and problem solving rather than getting stuck in your mind. Or although the mind stuff in here looks really healthy to me, instead it's more physical stuff that looks a little bit complicated. Yeah, you're understanding things in a completely different way that opens up your mind. So, coming up for you is the sun. Looks like you have some kind of success or some kind of breakthrough, positive breakthrough or happiness, joy about something, positive thinking, a positive attitude, focusing on things like happiness and joy to express yourself fully rather than holding back. In both these images, they are holding onto something very, very tightly and feel either unable to share it or they feel as though they need to keep it safe. Or this woman has locked everything up so that her stuff won't be stolen. But maybe the reason why you have the Queen of Wands up here, or Queen of Swords up here in your best possible outcome is maybe things are not so black and white. If you feel as though you need to spend all of your energy protecting something so it won't be stolen, and that's no way to live. You can't continue with that for forever, otherwise it'll take its toll on you. And that also stops the universe from being able to bring things to you, as if you're clutching something. You don't have any available hands to catch anything. It may be a mind state that you need to let go of, but it seems as though there's a huge shift in the future where you are much more open or unafraid or untethered by worry. So let's see. Tell me more about the sun and their future. Okay. You are no longer worried, stressed out, or anxious in the future. You have freed yourself somehow. Or something has happened that has alleviated your fears and made you realize that perhaps you let your imagination get away with you. Let's see what your nightmares are. So with the sun, you have the Nine of Swords, which is the nightmare card. So let's look at the nightmares that you have and see what is it that you're hanging on to, that you're so afraid of or anxious about. Let's see. Fear. Releasing fear. That's pretty simple. Fear of what? Disappointment. You will not be disappointed. Don't focus on disappointments from the past because they're not going to be happening like that in the future. You're afraid of disappointment. You're afraid of disappointment or possibly disappointing someone else. Maybe you're afraid of disappointing someone else. Or maybe you're afraid of being disappointed. This has been plaguing you, worrying you, stressing you out. But it looks as though in the future that is no longer going on anymore, and instead you feel renewed, energized, creative, self-confident, and you've possibly realized that your fears were not founded in reality. They might have come from a far distant time in the past. Okay, so you right now, things are speeding up dramatically. Perhaps you're traveling or you're on your way someplace, or if things were slowed down and stagnant before, they no longer are now. Where is it? I think it's underneath the computer. Yeah, I'm not going to go get it. Yeah, things are no longer staying still. Things are no longer stuck. Things are no longer moving. You're no longer having to be patient. Things are happening swiftly. Things are moving again. In your surroundings, there is the King of Cups. I'm feeling that this is somebody else. Let me see. Tell me more about the King of Cups in their surroundings. Maybe you're thinking of traveling, or you're wondering where your home is, or you feel very protective of your home right now, or protective of legacies or certain knowledge or certain things that you know. Let's see. This can also be a person. It's a Scorpio card, by the way. 8 of Pentacles. Interesting. This reading's fascinating. It's giving me some really fascinating images in my head. Between these two, I'm getting something again about history or about historical places, historical objects, working as a curator in a museum, restoring something that was broken or an antique or it needed to be repainted or fixed up. Or I'm even getting images of like second-hand shops or antique shops, or restoring something back to its original shape that it was in, or functionality. This could be a person in your environment that you have been spending time with that is extremely fascinating. They have a lot of knowledge about particular things in history, possibly about antiques or old books or certain bits of knowledge that feels like a specialist. Either you're a specialist or somebody else is a specialist, where you specialize in something that is not a lost art, but close to it, where there's only a handful of people that still do this or know this or practice this or are able to do it. This could even be restoring houses. You know, if there's old Victorian houses that have become run down, certain parts of the house aren't working anymore, or the gingerbread on the house, the paint has come off and the wood is starting to rot, so certain places need to be repainted or rebuilt. Concerning your surroundings, you may want to take a look around and see what is not functioning anymore in your surroundings and see about either fixing it or having a yard sale and letting go of it once and for all. I'm getting also hoarding things in here too, like hoarding half-done projects or hoarding things that someday you will fix when they're just sitting there broken. And it's up to you. I'm getting a decision here where it's up to you to decide, okay, if you're going to fix them, you need to fix them now. And if you can't fix them now, maybe it's time to just let go of them instead of hanging on to them. Or also beautification, beautifying your environment, beautifying your surroundings and making it more. You care a great deal about this, or you know someone who does. Maybe someone is letting you know that I got something about somebody you are interested in. If you tend to hoard things, they are not a hoarder, and they need to see that you're going to make an effort to not become stuck with certain things, because that's going to let them know what you are capable of in relationships. If you can't, or flip this, you guys, if it's the other way around, you could be dealing with someone who is a hoarder and you are seeing if perhaps you can encourage them to become more functional, and if they can't do that with physical objects, what would they be able to do with a relationship? So it seems like a deciding factor in here of kind of testing the waters and seeing, okay, certain things need to be adjusted. Are they capable of actually adjusting things? And if they can't do that with their own life, then how can you expect them to do that with a relationship? So your hope is that you will have the time to think things over, look at your potentials and possibilities, possibly have some downtime or resting time to really think things over. And your hope is that you will be able to make a decision based off of how you actually feel rather than external opinions. And your general outcome is the Hermit, which is your own major arcana card. So you seem very much yourself as your general outcome. I'm getting something about simplifying, getting back to the basics, getting back to the wellspring of your imagination, your understanding of things, and simplifying things and really focusing on the things that matter. If you need clarity in anything, you can find that clarity within by having alone time, having some quiet time, possibly getting away to a really beautiful environment. Maybe spend some time near a pond or a lake or an ocean or the mountains or the forest or a park, or I'm getting outdoors, or especially water, obviously. The answers will come to you. You'll know what to do. And it seems as though you're downsizing or you're working on simplifying things instead of allowing things to get too complicated. So let me pick one last little message for you and then I'll let you go. Hopefully this reading helped or resonated for someone. Guidance. Ask your guides for a sign or ask the universe for guidance in being strong in understanding something or going through something. You may even be able to be a guide for other people. Okay. Take care, you guys. And also honor your spirit guides. You may want to light a candle to acknowledge them or thank them for everything that they do for you. Okay. Take care, you guys. See you soon. Bye.